You can now buy tickets for the Grand Egyptian Museum's official full opening on November 4th online in advance. Plus, the Gem now has a brand new website, and King Tut's mask finally is closed down at the Old Egyptian Museum as they prepare to move it over to the King Tut galleries at the Grand Egyptian Museum. In this video, I'm going to talk about these three big updates for the Grand Egyptian Museum, how to buy tickets online in advance for the grand opening to the public on November 4th, the movement of King Tut's mask from the Old Museum to the Gem, and the Grand Egyptian Museum's new official website. If you don't know me already, my name is Gus, and I started Egypt Adventures Travel because I love Egypt and I want to help people have amazing trips there. I have 1 or 2 spots open for my upcoming November group tour of Egypt, so if you want to come to Egypt and be one of the first people at the Grand Egyptian Museum, send me an email, gus@egyptadventurestravel.com, for more information about linking up with my November tour. I've also got a big group tour happening January 29th to February 9th, and also one in May. So check those out on my website, egyptadventurestravel.com. I'd love to take you on a trip to Egypt with me leading you alongside our local Egyptian guide. That's me. That's about what I do with Egypt Adventures Travel, helping people have great trips to Egypt. Let's jump in and talk about these 3 new developments with the Gem. The biggest thing that the Gem announced, well, they didn't even announce it, they just quietly started adding the dates for November 4th and onwards onto their official ticketing website. So you can go online right now and you can buy a ticket ahead of time in advance for the Grand Egyptian Museum's full opening to the public, which the first day is November 4th, 2025. Now, you probably have heard that November 1st is the grand opening date, and that's true if you're a VIP, a foreign diplomat, a king, a dignitary from a foreign country, or somebody who's been specially invited by the president of Egypt to attend. November 1st, 2nd, and 3rd at the Grand Egyptian Museum are going to be focused on officials and government people, high-ranking folks, VIPs, with a big ceremony going on to open up the museum. We don't know the details of what that will include or what that'll look like, but the Gem will not be open to the public on November 1st, 2nd, or 3rd. In fact, at the making of this video, the Gem right now is totally shut down to the public until November 4th. But now you can buy tickets online for that November 4th first day of the full opening to the public, or any day in the future that you're planning a trip to Egypt. The ticketing website doesn't go super far into the future, so you'll check it out and you'll only be able to see dates for the next several weeks. But it's great news that you can now go online and get those tickets ahead of time if you're going to visit the Grand Egyptian Museum in November. The Grand Egyptian Museum's official ticket website is visit-gem.com. And this is the same website that they've been using for the last couple of years to buy tickets to the Grand Egyptian Museum online in advance. One caveat with buying tickets for November 4th or a later date is that we still don't know when or if the Grand Egyptian Museum is going to implement a separate ticket to get into the King Tut galleries or timed ticket entries. We've talked before that the Gem said rumors that they were going to have a timed entry slot where you buy a ticket and the ticket is for a specific entry time. But there's nothing online that says anything about an entry time when you buy your ticket. So this might be something that's changed later on. But I'm guessing that if they do change it, they'll still honor the tickets that are purchased online. I don't see them saying that that ticket's not going to be valid or not going to work just because it was bought online before they started a system with timed entry. But we don't know if or when a system of timed entry is going to take place. We also are not sure if they're going to be having a separate ticket to get into the King Tut galleries. This was another rumor that was floated around, that there will be 2 tickets for the Grand Egyptian Museum when it's fully open, a ticket to go to the main galleries, the Great Hall, the retail area, and the Grand Staircase, and then a separate ticket to get into the King Tut galleries. But so far online, there's no indication that there will be 2 separate tickets for these 2 separate parts of the museum. It looks like the one ticket is going to get you access to the whole museum. But the reason I have to bring up these caveats is that we don't know, and in Egypt, especially regarding the Gem, things change minute by minute and day by day, so these things might change by the time you are at the museum itself. but at the moment you can go online and buy that ticket in advance to visit the gem. When you go to the website visit-gem.com, you'll land on a countdown talking about the Grand Egyptian Museum's full opening, where they note that it's opening on November 1st, of course, to just VIPs, and then November 4th to the public. And when you click through that countdown, you're going to be brought to a landing page that has a bit of information about the museum. And then at the bottom, you have the option to book a guided tour or to just book an admission ticket. I recommend booking an admission ticket if you're going to the gem with an Egyptologist guide already, or if you just like doing a self-guided experience at a museum where it's well labeled, you walk around on your own and read all the information. I recommend booking the guided tour if you really like having a tour guide to explain the history, but the drawback to the guided tour is it starts at a specific time, and also the tour guide's gonna have a group of up to 30 to 40 people, so it's quite a large group and it might be difficult to actually get a lot out of that tour. So I say book that if you really wanna have a guide with you and you don't already have one set up. But book the normal admission ticket if you already have your own private guide or if you want to do the museum self-guided. Once you pick that you want to book the admission ticket for the gem, you'll be brought to a calendar. And this is where we found out that the gem's opened up tickets now for November 4th and onwards after the full opening. The ticket price for Arabs and other nationalities, so if you're like me and you're coming from the USA, you're not an expatriate, you don't live in Egypt with a residency visa, and you're not Egyptian, so you'd purchase the ticket under Arabs and other nationalities. For adults, the ticket at the moment is 1,450 Egyptian pounds, which is just under 30 US dollars at the making of this video. So you'll pick your date that you want to go to the gem. The ticket is date specific, so you have to go on that date. If you do not go on that date, you will need to buy a new ticket either at the museum in person or online. So I recommend doing this if you are 100% sure what date you're going to be visiting the museum. You're going to be picking the date, you're going to get however many tickets you need, whether it's a ticket for adult or a student. If it's a student ticket, make sure that person is either visibly a student, like a 12-year-old child, or if there's somebody who's, I'd say 13, 14 or older, that they have a valid student ID that has a written expiration date on it. A lot of times the authorities at the sites can be really nitpicky when it comes to student tickets. They want to see that student ID for any kid who looks like they're above 13, 14 years old, and they want it to have an actual expiration date listed. If it doesn't, they may not honor the student ticket price and you might need to buy an adult ticket. So that gives you an idea for what tickets you should be purchasing. And then when you go down to purchase the tickets, at one point you'll have to do a one-time password that they're going to email to you. So you'll have to check your email and enter that 4-digit code in online. And then you can pay with a Visa or with a MasterCard online for those tickets. And then the tickets will be delivered to you in a PDF that has a QR code. Doesn't really matter what name the PDF says on it. If you're a group of 10 people, it'll just have the one name that you put down. But those tickets in the PDF version are what you can use on your phone to scan in at the museum. And you do not have to book tickets online in advance. You can buy tickets at the Grand Egyptian Museum itself. They have a ticket counter that's just inside the first security check. I've bought tickets in person. I've also bought tickets online in advance. Both systems work. The only caveat with buying tickets in person is that those first days at the gem, I'm guessing, are gonna be really busy. So I recommend buying tickets online ahead of time if you already know for sure what date you're going to visit. If you're not really sure when you're gonna go to the gem during your trip, that's when I recommend buying the tickets in person. Or if you're thinking maybe we'll squeeze in a visit in the afternoon if we finish up the Giza pyramids or Saqqara early, we'll go to the gem. If you're not 100% sure, that's when buying the ticket in person will be a good idea. In person accepts only Visa or MasterCard just like they do online, so you cannot buy a ticket in cash. Please leave a comment and let me know what your experience was like buying tickets online to the Grand Egyptian Museum or buying tickets in person if you're watching this video on November 4th or later. I would love to know what your experience was like, and if more people share their experiences or any issues that you faced, that just helps out future travelers who are buying tickets to the gem. I also would love any questions you have about buying tickets to the Grand Egyptian Museum or travel to Egypt in general. Leaving a comment and letting me know your question is a great way to get my attention. I always go through and answer all of the questions I receive on the YouTube video comments I get. So that's my little quick plug to leave a comment on the video with either your question or your experience. Let's talk about the other two updates regarding the Grand Egyptian Museum, the movement of King Tut's mask, and the gem's new official website. The Grand Egyptian Museum finally has an official website. So they've had that ticketing website now for a couple of years that has basic information about the museum and a place to buy tickets, but now the gem finally has a full-on website. The gem's official website is www.gem.eg, so not .com, but .eg for Egypt. So www.gem.eg is the Grand Egyptian Museum's official website. Go and check it out. There are a ton of resources online, and it looks like it's a great website for them to add on to in the future when they do things at the gem, like offer special exhibitions or highlight key research efforts. So check out that new official website on the gem. It was just launched a few days ago. So now in conjunction with that official ticketing website, it really feels like the museum is getting so close to its completion and its full opening on November 4th. And my last update about the Grand Egyptian Museum is that King Tut's mask has now been confirmed to be shut down at the Old Egyptian Museum. The gallery is closed to the public, which means that if you are in Egypt at the moment and you're at the Old Museum, you will not be able to see King Tut's mask, the sarcophagus, and a few of the other treasures that were still on display at the Old Museum. That's been totally closed because those last treasures are going to move over to the Grand Egyptian Museum in time for the opening on November 1st for the VIPs and then November 4th for people like me and the general public. So now the Old Egyptian Museum is still an amazing place to visit for masterwork pieces of Egyptian statuary, for really important historical pieces like the Narmer palette, our first ever depiction of an ancient Egyptian pharaoh. There are thousands of amazing pieces at the Old Egyptian Museum. So if you have time, if you have more than a day or two in Cairo, it's really a must to go to that old museum. It's not being gutted, it is not empty, it is not closing down. I've been hearing those same misconceptions for years, so I have to mention them in every single video about the museums. The old museum is not closing, it's not empty, it's a great collection of ancient Egyptian artifacts, and for anybody who even has a mild interest in ancient Egypt, they'll find a 1 to 2 hour visit there fascinating. And for somebody who's a big Egyptophile, they might want to spend a whole entire day at the old museum. So the King Tut mask and the coffin and the rest of those artifacts are closed at the old museum, but it's still definitely worth a visit. We don't know when, how, or what that will look like when they move those last artifacts to the gem. There were talks about maybe them having a parade like they did when they moved over the royal mummies from the old museum to the National Museum of Egyptian Civilization. But it doesn't seem like they're going to have a parade because we haven't heard anything official about it. These were just rumors that were floated around months ago. So they might just be secretly moving these objects over, just kind of paying attention to the security situation and kind of the delicacy of an operation like that. We don't know, but stay updated on my YouTube channel. If you're subscribed, I'll be updating with a video about any developments in regards to the King Tut mask and also the Grand Egyptian Museum. So that's a great segue into wrapping up this video. If you're subscribed to my channel, if you're also on my email list, which is on my website, egyptadventurestravel.com, I will update you with anything new about the Grand Egyptian Museum. Please leave a comment, like this video, share it with somebody who's planning a trip to Egypt, and let me know if you have any questions about the gem or travel to Egypt in general. Thanks for watching, everybody. I'm Gus with Egypt Adventures Travel, and I'll see you on the next video.